So we're starting again. Just remember that after this talk, the break will be a bit longer, 20 minutes instead of 10, and you can grab some refreshments. And now we have Petr Hráček and Tomáš Hozza presenting a new interesting tools that should help the life of packagers.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome and thank you for coming to our talk. I'm Tomáš, this is Petr. We are working for Red Hat, and we have been working on one tool called Rebase-helper in the past couple of months, and we would like to show it to you and make you excited about it. So, what I will talk about are the use case for which we try to accomplish with Rebase-helper. How the package rebases work with Rebase-helper, and what's the current status of the tool, and what are our plans with integrating Rebase-helper with Fedora infrastructure. Then we have prepared a live demo, which will be shown by Peter. So, how many of you here are package maintainers or maintaining some package? Okay, so, and how many of you enjoy rebasing your package to the latest Upstream version? Okay, so you will enjoy it even more with Rebase-helper because it will simplify things for you, or at least it should. Rebasing packages is kind of boring, even though you like it, obviously. There are a lot of manual steps that you have to do, like try to apply all the patches and resolve any possible conflicts for patches that are not yet merged to the upstream source. You have to drop already merged patches, which are and make sure they were really merged. Then you there are a lot of possible issues that can arise with rebasing the package to the latest version, and some of them are, for example, when the package distributes some shared library, there may be some soname bumps, so you may need to verify that all the dependent packages can be rebuilt successfully, that there was no API changed in the package in the newest version. Then there might be some new files showing on in the new version, or some binaries could be removed, some header files, and so on. So these are all things you should care about when updating the package to the latest version, and most of them should be automated because it's the stuff you have to do every time for every update. So Rebase-helper tries to address these manual steps and kind of assist you with rebasing the package. All you have to do, currently we are focused mostly on Fedora and this Git that is used in Fedora. So all you have to do is run Rebase-helper in the dist-git directory for the package you are trying to update with the version to which you are trying to update the package. What Rebase-helper will do? It will download the newest version of the sources if they are not already present in the directory in the dist-git, and try to apply all the downstream patches you have in your package. It goes in the same basically it does the same steps as RPM build does when applying patches. So it goes one by one and tries to apply the patch to the old sources, to new sources. And if there is some conflict, for example, the patch cannot be applied successfully to new sources, it will inform you, and it will try to help you with rebasing the patch. So it will show you some merge tool. Currently, we support only melt. It's a nice graphical tool for resolving conflicts. And using melt, you are able to see differences between old and new sources, what the patch did to all sources, and then you can kind of merge those changes to new sources. And after closing melt, Rebase-helper will automatically generate new patch that can be applied to the new sources. After all patches have been successfully rebased, applied, or either removed if they were already merged in the new version of sources, Rebase-helper builds binary RPMs from old sources and new sources, and this is because we want to run some set of tests and to find out what are the changes in new version. So as I said, Rebase-helper will run some tests to find out if there are any edit, changed, or removed files, headers, binaries, whatever. If there are any soname bumps, API changes. We may, in the future, try to rebuild automatically all the dependent packages for you and inform you that by updating to the newest version of Upstream sources, you broke these 5 packages that depend on you. Yes?
Does it use mock for building the binaries?
Yes, it does, and I will cover it in the next slide, what tool we use. And after all the tests are run, it provides you logs from the tools we used for testing. Currently, we don't provide any consistent log for all the different tools. We provide logs directly from the tools we used. So the current status is we are mostly focused on Fedora and RPM, but we are open to any patches for the support for any other distribution. Since we work only with Fedora, we don't feel like we are the right persons to implement support for Debian or Ubuntu or something like that. The tool is packaged in Fedora, so you can just install it using YAM or DNF. For patches rebasing, currently we are using patch tool, and for resolving conflicts we are using melt, but Peter is already working on using only Git and Git rebase workflow for resolving such conflicts. So the maintainer with already set up Git config and all the tools for merging and resolving conflicts configured in the Git config. The user will be able to use all the tools he likes with Rebase-helper. So it should be much easier and much more intuitive to resolve patch conflicts when doing the rebase. For building, by default we are using mock, but there is a possibility to use also RPM build, in which case if there are some missing build dependencies, you will be informed that there are some missing, and you can even install them automatically. But we are using mock since I think it's the cleanest way to build packages, right? For testing, we are using package diff and RPM diff, but there is no problem with implementing any other tool for testing. We have plans for implementing support for some API checkers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it depends on what user or what Fedora using.
Yeah, and if you have any idea or if you know about any cool and useful tool that could check conflicts, issues in a package, or make some scan for some differences between two versions of packages, just open an issue either in Bugzilla or on GitHub. So in the future, we think that Rebase-helper could be really useful for Fedora and Fedora maintainers. We would like, I'm sure since you maintain some packages that you know about the Upstream Release Monitoring that is in Fedora. So if there is any new version of your package, the tool, the Upstream Release Monitoring automatically detects that and emits some message on Fed message bus. There is some other tool that listens for such messages and reports automatically Bugzilla for your component, so you know there is a new version and you should update it. We would like to also hook on such message and automatically run Rebase-helper for the new version and possibly inform the maintainer in the Bugzilla what are the outcomes of the tests we run and what is the assessment of on difficulty of doing the update. What are the possible issues and stuff like that. So for this, we still need to implement non-interactive mode because right now Rebase-helper relies on user input and resolving patch conflicts. We are not sure if we'll be able to resolve automatically any conflicts when applying patches. We will most probably skip those and inform the user that these were skipped because there were some issues that we were not able to resolve automatically, and it's still work in progress. Okay, so as you know, talk is cheap, so Peter will show you some live demo.
Hello from my side as well. Well, I selected some simple component, not like systemd or whatever you can imagine. Really, what will work, maybe what should work. Well, I select the IP route. This is better for me. As Tomáš said, Rebase-helper, you can run Rebase-helper, just Rebase-helper and version. Before then I run, I will show that I already downloaded the version 3.14. Well, you should remove the Rebase-helper results. No, it's working. I've already run the Rebase-helper, and Rebase-helper detects that there are some results directory and workspace directory which Rebase-helper use. Okay, I did not broke the before the Rebase-helper, and therefore Rebase-helper automatically deletes his stuff. What you see on the screen, you see several patches and how they are applied on the old and new sources. First is some man page. It is applied on the old sources, on the new sources. All going well. Simple. That's the idea for maintainers. I will run, all goes fine. But you can see that on the last line that some patch failed on the new sources. Wow, that's an aim for Rebase-helper. As Tomáš said, we are using a merge tool. Well, Rebase-helper show us, okay, start merge tool. Oh, cool. Merge tool is run, all works properly. What we can see? On the first tab, we can see how it was changed, how a patch was applied on the old sources. You can see that all sources does not define null. We use the patch which defines null argument. On the middle tab, we can see what is changed between old sources and new sources. And you can see that Upstream really defined the null parameters, but as you can see in the different mode. We define on the multi-lines, and Upstream defined there. And at the end, we can see that we should select what type. Oh, sorry for the screen is pretty low. We should select what we will prefer, either our patch or Upstream patch. And as you know, Fedora prefer Upstream first. Then we select the Upstream release. Well, all is checked. There is no any red section, and we will close. What happened now? Now we are generating patch from the old sources and new sources. We are regenerating patch based on our decision. And we can see that in our patch, we delete the section. Okay, and now Rebase-helper continues and show us that if we would like to continue with the patching, or we can stop the Rebase-helper. If we stop the Rebase-helper, then we can, after time, call the Rebase-helper with the parameter continue, which will go through, detects that some patch was already rebase, and goes afterwards. Well, we will go. Now, the situation continues, some patches were done, some patches not, and the situation repeats again. We can see some troubles. Yeah, and we can see what was changed in that case, where, give me a moment, where we have old sources, our file, which we should merge, and new sources. We select the upstream, because we preferred, save, and we see that, again, we define the patch, we regenerate the patch, and what was changed? Okay, now we can see that all other patches works fine, and we are now building RPM, source RPM, and pkgdiff at the end. It takes time. As Tomáš said, during the time we will see the result log and so on. Currently now we are working on the GitHub solution.
Just a solely Git-based solution, not
Yeah.
GitHub. Yeah.
Where user has defined their algorithms like merging tool and whatever. It should prefer their step. That's all from the live demo. It takes the time.
Yeah, it will take time since we are using mock, so it has to prepare the build route, and we are using mock also for building source RPMs, which may not be the best idea, but this is how it's implemented right now. So
Yeah, currently now we are using patch command. Yeah, it's your turn.
So in the meanwhile, oh, sorry.
Yeah. How will the rebase tool, when you change the patch during the conflict resolution, how will the tool rename the patch or name it?
No. The question was if there is a conflict with the patch, what Rebase-helper will do with the name of the patch? Really good question, thanks. If the patch is complicated and it is not merged automatically, then the patch with the same name is stored in the Rebase-helper result directory. And spec file is updated accordingly. And during the building, we know in Python structure what patch was changed, delete, and whatever. And during the mock, we copy relevant files. Modified spec, modified patch, or if the patch was deleted by upstream, then we did not copy them. We do not rename any files because it is complicated. Therefore, we select and users see, okay, in spec file what was modified. There are some comments, what Rebase-helper does, and so on.
The basic idea is for the maintainer to be able to use the results of Rebase-helper run as quickly as possible. So only modified patches are stored in a Rebase-helper workspace results directory. There is also modified spec file. For example, if some patch was already merged and we detected that it is not necessary anymore, we will just comment it out from the spec file. So Rebase-helper results will contain the modified spec file and all the patches that are named the same way, but are modified or rebased to the new sources.
Okay, so for the current practice that you have a number of upstream version that this patch applies
So
manually then fix the name.
So the question is if there is some way how the maintainer names the patches, and the name contains also the version of the sources to which the patch should be applied. If we are fixing this, anyhow, we are not, and we don't feel like we should, because if you, I think the maintainer should decide if he wants the patch to be renamed, or we don't feel like renaming a patch or using any other name for it is a
You could detect that the patch is in the form of
Yeah.
upstream name dash version, and if this works.
But they should persuade other package maintainers that they should use the same convention.
Sorry, I did not catch.
Okay.
No, but renaming of the current patches could be pretty complicated, and we should stay in the same name. I know that many patches has the name name.
But technically, it would be possible to detect that patches contain the version of the package, and while rebasing to the newest version, it could be implemented to rename those patches. But imagine a use case when you are rebasing to pre-release version, for example, some beta or a release candidate. We are handling this and, for example, setting the right release version in the spec file according to naming conventions. And I'm not sure if you would like us to change the name of the patch also in that case. But it's possible, but we...
Maybe as this is just an idea for our feature, you could add a hook where someone can put his own preferred plugin that would rename the patch.
Yeah.
Sure, we are...
Maybe a simple solution, you could just say, if I need to change the patch, I append something like RB new version, appended it, and after when you're done, you print a list of all the patches that were renamed, then the package maintainer can rename it in the way they want.
At the beginning of the project, we did it. Okay. But after the time, we find this is not a proper way, and easy way is that Rebase-helper, it is not implemented yet, will copy the modified file to the Git, and user will see, okay, this was changed somehow, and whatever. And user, of course, ideally is that Rebase-helper will on the command line, you will select OK Git, something like that, and Rebase-helper automatically copy the modified file to the Git repository, this Git or whatever, and make a commit and check in with the user interaction. Why not?
The nice thing about not renaming patches is the fact that after Rebase-helper is done, you can just copy the content of the Rebase-helper results to this Git, and you can right away see using Git diff, for example, which patches were changed, what are the differences between what has been changed in the spec file, and so on. So, but we are open to abstracting any part of the Rebase-helper to be for the others to be able to hook something else to implement some modules and stuff like that.
Only for the description, some small, imagine that you have a patch with the upstream version or the latest version. And during the time, it repeats several times, and in the Git, you have several patches which are either modified or whatever with the different versions. And it is in the Git, it is pretty complicated to see, okay, what is this patch? Why is there? We should clean up the Git, not add the new files with either exception, with either extension or with the new version.
Okay.
But it is on the discussion.
There was a question?
Yeah.
I think a possible solution to that is that the melt tool allows you to save the merged version of the file as anything you want. So if you can find a way how to get that information worst case, use something like iNotify, that you are notified that a new file has been created in this place?
Right now, so the comment was about that we could use meld to save the new patch or rebased patch accordingly or under any name the maintainer wants. Right now, we are basically not using meld to save the patch, but we are using the files with the changes you did in meld to generate the diff between clean upstream version and the one you modified. And the difference between these two is basically the new patch.
Well, yeah, I meant the phase where you have to review the
Okay,
patch.
the old patch and new patch.
You are right. You are right.
At that point, you can save it just, I don't know, my new shiny new patch.
Yeah.
Attack that and then use the new file.
Yeah, Meld can do that. Yeah, in the new version of the Git which we are working on, we have to select or we have to save the new modified patch because the new principle or new design of the Rebase-helper is based on the Git, and it depends on the settings on the Git config. And this is the reason why we should use and we advise user, okay, now you should save the new generated page because we don't know how. It's not working. Yeah.
It depends on the user settings. He may not use meld at all, so it depends on.
Because many colleagues use not meld, but like Vim diff and whatever. And
And it's their problem to save it.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, it seems that.
And we think we should not force the user to use whatever tool we selected for him to.
Yeah.
As the best one.
In the meantime, the build was finished successfully. It's good. You can see that there is a summary output log file, what Rebase-helper did. You can see the HTML report page from pkgdiff. What?
Yeah, it says that patches were neither modified or deleted, but they were modified.
And this is a bug. Yeah. There is, of course, a warning for the maintainer that test to it is not enabled, which should be enabled. What is next? Here you can see the output from mock, RPMs, packages for the old and new, and at the end you can see how the file was changed. It is just only a brief summary. I think that it is not useful for the maintainer. Okay, some header file was changed 300%, but no, 3%. Sorry. Yeah, and at the end is again location of the log.
And I think you could show us the HTML output of the package diff, for example, because it's much nicer than this.
Yeah, give me a moment. Yeah, hopefully yes. Yeah, and you can see that pkgdiff compares the two or all RPM packages. If they are devil or whatever tools, it compares all RPM packages and shows you changes and other stuff.
This is basically implemented in the package diff tool, not by us.
Yeah. We are in contact with the maintainer of Upstream package diff for making some changes and so on. And
so how many of you will try Rebase-helper after this talk? All right.
just bugs are welcome.
Yeah, we are thankful for any feedback or any feature requests or anything, because we are gathering feedback from our teams and from the office and users within Red Hat, but we think that's not enough.
Yeah.
Basically.
And we would like to help users. Let's say you have a really simple component, and in the new Upstream monitoring service, you will see, okay, patch was applied, deleted, build was successfully. Why not? I know that it is only information because thanks. Imagine the situation that package is correctly applied, built, and so on, and we should automatically close the Bugzilla. No, this is really not the right step.
I think there were some concerns about this will make realizing which packages are not responsive in Fedora even harder because packages would be updated automatically for them, but this is not our goal to cover unresponsive maintainers or something like that. So to sum up, you can find the source and issue tracker and basically everything that can be in GitHub on our GitHub in our GitHub project. The tool is written in Python, so I think it should be easy for anyone to understand and make some changes. Peter wrote a really nice article about Rebase-helper in Fedora, but it's only in Czech. But there is some new article on developer blog .redhat.com from Peter, and it's in English, so you can go through it. There is also some video with a demo on YouTube, also recorded by Peter, and you can find us on Freenode. We use Rebase-helper room, and yeah, that's our contact to us. Don't forget to give us feedback so we can improve our talks.
And at the beginning of the project, there was another person who worked on that, is Jiří Popelka in the middle. He implemented diff, package diff, and diff algorithm and merge.
Okay, so
Thanks
any other
joining.
questions, ideas? No?
Can you use this on unpackaged sources?
Not yet, but I went to the CentOS dojo. Okay, sorry. Can Rebase-helper be used on unpackaged sources? Like, for example,
When you have a feature branch and you maintain it because it's not in Upstream, but Upstream releases multiple versions in the meantime, so you could use Git rebase, but it's not very user-friendly, so you might consider using one of the packaging tools before you have a package for it.
so by unpackaged you mean the sources are not released as some tarball or some archive, or?
And especially not as a Redis package. Yeah, you can make a tarball, but they are basically big.
Yeah, this is a good question. All the Rebase-helper basically works or gather the data from the spec file or from other distributions. And this is the problem because we don't know what sources we should use. Currently now we are getting the version from the spec file and user adds to the Rebase-helper new version. But your question is right, it is possible, but I think that
Currently, you have to. Rebase-helper works only with tarballs or some archive with the sources, and it has to. Currently, it works only in dist-git directory of the package that is Fedora or rel or whatever else. But I think it would be nice to implement support, for example, for running Rebase-helper on RPM build directory structure, so where the package is not yet in Fedora in dist-git, but you have at least prepared spec file or something from which we can build some packages. Because we are running tests on build sources or build packages, so I'm not sure if we really answered your question, but we can discuss it after the talk.
And you are talking about Debian. They have a tool called Quill, which is really old, and that's basically the same. But it just applies or deletes patches, and when there is a conflict, you are responsible for resolving, and there's no automatic call of the match tool or anything.
So another note was about a tool that's in Debian. It's called Queer. Can you repeat? So called Quill. Okay, and does pretty much the same thing, except it does not automate the conflict resolving when some patch does not apply.
Maybe it could, but I didn't configure it. I'm not sure, I don't use the tool much.
Yeah. So we
it is
didn't
nice
know
for the community to write a patch to the Rebase-helper to do that.
Yeah, we didn't know about that, and we were trying to address the use case we had or the problem we saw in Fedora, but it might be useful for us to at least look at the tool to see what they did, and maybe it could be somehow integrated.
But it seems that you are the volunteer for the making the patch, right? Thanks.
Okay, another question.
Have you considered adding an option to use Koji instead of mock?
So the question is if we considered using Koji instead of mock for building. Yes, we considered it, but it didn't seem like priority for now. We could implement, for example, using Koji scratch build for building packages, or it's no problem. I don't see any problem why this could not be implemented, or using Copper or something like that. Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't want to download all these build dependencies and whatever.
Yeah. We are building source RPM, and after that we are building RPMs using mock, so there is no problem to upload that source RPM to some build service and just download RPMs after that.
Yeah, Rebase-helper is done like modules. And if you want to add to the Rebase-helper Koji, FatPKG or RPKG or whatever, then we can write down only the module.
So for example, the building of packages is written in such a way that there is an virtual class that names all the methods you have to implement, for building packages. It takes only spec file and sources as parameters, and the output is like a path to ready RPMs. So there is no problem to implement Koji scratch build tool. Yeah.
I think we are out of the time. 2 minutes?
We have 2 minutes. So.
Another question? Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Do you want the presentation? I have one unknown USB that you can plug to your laptop and see what it can do.
O tom Quiltu jsem slyšel už pár let dozadu, a to není jenom Fedoři. Je to něco na maintainování.
Debian.
Debian. Aha, ale jakože není jenom Debian. Je to určitě i na Fedoře, jsem s tím jednou hrál.
Nie, ale...
Ale zase je tak, že to autopilot chce být, takže nechám pořád.
Ako dalo by sa to, podľa mňa v tom, že keď to buildíš v moku, tak... Ale dalo by sa akože nechať si ten...
No hej, ale bez toho, že to jako botkom pomůžka, že vidíš, že to za nové.
No No jasné, ale akože to by som musel explicitne postaviť. Ak sa to rozbalí a preperne, tak pred buildením a po buildení by sme museli si že áno, je tam configure, áno, je tam, skúsime skúsiť dash help v starom, novom a So are you the Debian user or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And Fedora I use sometimes too, but not as much.
So to be honest, I went to FOSDEM last weekend and there was a talk from the Debian project leader about how are packages built in Debian and what are the problems and what are they trying to address, like reproducible builds, stuff like that. And he was talking about some tools that I'm not familiar with, but tools that are used for building packages. There are like 2 or 3 tools. I'm not something helper, like that helper, yeah. And
What is the default plugin for managing patches in the helper? So it's just for the patch management, so you can use it by hand or it's used by the build system when you select that option. And when you get new version of a package, you can unpack these sources and try to actually
yeah,
the patches.
that's what we are basically doing right now.
Clear. And if it doesn't work, you can resolve the conflicts, and if it doesn't work, you can build it and continue. So it's like done from the outside, but it's just a plugin for the build system, and it's not only a plugin for the build system, but also a tool that you can use outside of the build system.
Is there something like spec file for Debian packages? I really didn't package anything.
There is spec file, but it doesn't use it. It just uses the patches.
So in what order it applies all the
There's
patches?
a text file which specifies the order.
And the text file is distributed with the package.
In the